Patrick Mahomes will not be the top quarterback by season end. And
Whoa!
Oh,
Wow! Oh my word! There it is.
Derek,
hey, what's going on?
how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm Parker.
I was gonna say you must be Parker.
Yeah, I'm Parker.
Process of elimination.
I was stalking your guys' Instagram, and I saw you had a pretty good Happy Gilmore swing going on there. So
Oh yeah, wasn't that amazing?
that was pretty awesome.
250 dead center.
Was it really?
Yeah.
We are joined by Derek Overby of BallBlast Fantasy Football author. Do you want to just start out by telling everybody about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Derek Overby. Like Owen said, I write for BallBlastFootball.com, and I also manage their social media. So for those of you who have Twitter, BallBlast has a Twitter, and I create memes and post articles and all that kind of stuff. So, and I've been doing that for about, I guess, since February. I've been writing about fantasy football for about a year now, and then joined BallBlast back in the winter. So, yeah, and now with the season coming up, now is when it gets really busy and fun. So, looking forward to it.
Yeah. So as the reigning fantasy football champion, I think me and you, we should just talk face to face. Get the loser out of here. I'm just kidding, Owen. You came in a valiant, like what, 8th maybe?
9th.
9th.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I gave you an extra spot. I should have done that.
Yep.
But I'm just wondering, how many leagues have you won in the past? Just over your entire fantasy.
So I started. I was talking to my wife about this tonight. Actually, I started playing fantasy football probably while you guys were still in diapers, back in 2006. So I've been 15, 16 years now. So I've been in one league since 2006. I've been in that same league. So this is our 15th year in that league, and I've won that 3 times. But I'm kind of like LeBron James. I've been to the championship in that league 8 times, but I've won 3 times. So,
Okay.
So actually the last time I won that league was 2015. So it's been a little bit. But since then I've been to the championship like 2 or 3 times, and lost every time. So, But now I'm in quite a few leagues this year, just through trying to network and get my name out there. So hopefully I win something this year. But it's been a little while. So unlike you, Parker, you have the ring. You're the ring. So
Yeah.
Now, how many leagues or how many teams are in your league?
It's a 12-team league.
Our main one is 12. Yeah.
Yeah, the main one is 12, and then I'm gonna be in like 1 or 2 more, but those are just like. Those aren't the ones you put money in. So
yeah,
the big one is 12. So
yeah,
nice.
That's one that we're the most locked into. Which, speaking of that league, our main one is a keeper league.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on? Do you prefer like the one keeper? Do you prefer full redraft, dynasty? What's like the most fun?
So this league I'm talking about that we started back in 2006 is also a keeper league.
okay.
So that's kind of like where my heart is the keeper league. But I actually dived into dynasty last year. And I don't know, a lot of the content I write about has been redraft, because that's kind of where my keeper and redraft are my specialty. So I'm learning more about dynasty now. But I do love the idea of dynasty and building a team. Like I feel like rookies matter a lot more in dynasty because you're not looking at like Julio Jones and Adam Thielen as much. You're looking at more of the younger guys to build a team around. So, but I don't have as much experience in dynasty. So redraft and keeper are definitely my forte, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Yeah, I'm keeper all the way, 100 through and through, just because like we've been doing keeper for such a long time. I do think keeper is tough for like people that have like a bad keeper. like
Yes. Yes.
like if their
Makes
keeper,
sense.
like I have Alvin Kamara, so I mean
Mm.
he helped me win that championship last
Oh,
year.
I was just like
Nice.
6
But,
touchdowns
oh,
and
so
Yeah.
I'm set for this year, my keeper.
Uh-huh.
But
yeah.
like
Hey,
some
really
people,
helped you go 5-6 in the regular season.
I won the championship, so I don't wanna-
Oh, so you were like the Giants sneaking in and
Yep.
yeah. Well, and the
Yeah.
funny thing is, I also had Dak at QB, so you would think my regular season for the first 6 weeks would have been like insane, but
Yeah.
for some reason it wasn't. I had like the most points scored against me at the beginning, so I got off to a rough start, but once I made the playoffs, just went from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, keeper through and through. How about you, Owen?
I prefer keeper because I like rewarding somebody for having had a good draft last year.
Mhm.
I really want to join a dynasty league. We should probably make one with like the more serious of our friends.
Yeah, I
Friends who
feel
are
like
more locked into fantasy football. That'd be
Mhm.
really fun. Before high school's over to join a dynasty league. But complete redraft versus keeper, I'm definitely a keeper as well. So I'm glad we all agree on that. That was good.
yeah.
Keepers the way to go.
Would you, well, kind of two questions. Would you say you're in too many leagues? And would people who know you say you're in too many leagues?
Yeah, I don't know if my wife even knows how many leagues I'm in now. Yeah, I actually, so right now I'm in I think total I just count I'm at 15 leagues. And I think that's my cap.
That's a
That is a
full-time job.
lot.
I was pretty excited because I was getting invited to like because like on Twitter, I'm like I've been really like the past year trying to network with different people who work in the industry.
Uh-huh.
So like someone who works at like NFL Network would be like, hey, do you want to join a league? And I'm like, I can't say no to that. Like this is a
Yeah.
chance.
yeah.
for me to
Oh yeah, you got to take that
and
opportunity.
then I just kept saying yes to all these leagues. So I'm in like, and I haven't done dynasty. And let's be honest, like one of the best parts about fantasy football is the draft itself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I love the draft. And then once the draft is over, I'm like, oh, shoot, I made a mistake. Now I actually have to like set this lineup every week.
Mhm.
But so I would say, yeah, I'm at my, I like, I'll be okay setting lineups every week and that kind of thing,
Uh-huh.
but I'm at my cap. And people who know me, yeah, my wife thinks I'm crazy, but would probably say I'm in too many leagues, but I enjoy it's I like, it's a hobby. It's fun for me. I always told myself if it gets to be like where I'm like overwhelmed, then that's when I know I need to like cut back. So I'm not there yet, but I'll cut back before I get there. So
Yeah.
Um,
So about the 15 leagues, is there a like over those 15 drafts, have you seen like a strategy or some type of general like way that you draft?
yeah, I've changed the way I draft a little bit. It depends on, for one, like what pick I am.
Mhm.
I'm never like the first pick, which I don't know if I want to be the first pick or not. I'm usually towards the end of it's usually like 12 team leagues.
Mhm.
So I'm usually like in the like 7 to 12 range.
Okay.
I realized like I always thought with my keeper league that my home league, as they call them, I always thought like I love trading. I always thought I was someone who loved trading. And then I realized like I'm terrified to trade because some of these guys, like before the draft even starts, they're trying to trade like their third, eighth, and 12th pick for your second. And I'm like, whoa, this is way too much. So like part of me, like I was like, okay, if I'm joining these different leagues, I should try different strategies.
Mhm.
I'm always personally, I wait on quarterback. I always wait on tight end. But then I was like, you know what? I have the 6th overall pick. Yeah, I'll take Travis Kelce, or
Mhm.
Travis Kelce, I guess that's his name is pronounced. So I have changed my strategy a little bit. One of the guys I work with on BallBlast, he's a very big proponent of zero running back.
Oh, really?
So he'll draft
So he's a
like
crazy
5 or 6 receivers straight, or tight ends. And his receivers look awesome, but then his running backs, I'm like a little questionable. So I've tried that before, like in a draft. I tried that out, and just different strategies. But I always kind of fall back to my get a stud running back, and because there aren't many of those anymore.
Mhm.
So I find myself falling back to to my old ways. But I do use some of these drafts to try out new things and see what I like.
Yeah, this year in our league, we implemented that you'd be allowed to trade draft picks, and we were gonna ask like, what, we've never done that before. What is it? What should we be trying to do?
Did you do your draft yet?
No,
we have it on Sunday.
There we go.
Yeah, we tried to hold off as long as we could. And yeah, I think this is the latest we've
which was
done
good
a draft.
with the Travis Etienne injury.
Yeah, Sonny Michel trade. It worked out this year.
Yeah, we had ours last Sunday. And yeah, Etienne was drafted in the 5th round, I think.
Ooh.
And like I watched so many podcasts, like so much like, preparation, just like listening to different things. And I heard a lot of like experts saying Etienne was like going to be good this year. And so a bunch of experts too, just like knocked out. Just like,
yeah. He was dry. And then Robinson, I was kicking myself because like James Robinson kept falling and falling and falling. And I was like, man, I should draft him. And then I didn't. And now I'm kicking myself I didn't. But yeah, as far as draft picks, so how many keepers do you guys keep? One?
Yep.
One keeper?
Just the best guy.
Okay. Yeah, as far as draft picks go, it's hard because you kind of have to gauge the other people in your league. Like a lot of people in my league are very wary of trading. So when I try to trade anything, they're like, unless they get back like Dalvin Cook and CMC together, in a package, I'm like, it has to be like really working in their favor for a trade to go through. So trades are very hard in my league. So you kind of have to know your league mates and how serious they are. So I don't know the other people in your league if they're as into fantasy football as you guys are, but sometimes they look at me as like, oh, he's trying to rip me off.
Yes, that's exactly what goes on
all the time.
They're like, oh, they do a podcast, they must know it all, and I'm like,
Constantly.
I'm just someone who's trying to have fun. So yeah, picks can be. I always try to look at it as if I'm trading picks. I try not to get too crazy and trade like. I don't want to be trading you 3 picks and only getting 2 back. So I try to make it at least if I'm trading 2 picks, I'm getting 2 picks back, or if I'm trading 3, I'm getting 3 back because I don't want to like shortchange myself. And it also depends on who's falling. Like if you see a player falling and you don't think they're going to make it back to you,
and you want that guy.
Can you package a couple, like, if it's the 4th round and you're like, oh, it's not going to get back to me, can you package your 5th and 6th pick for their 4th and 7th, or something, trying to do that. But I've seen people try to trade like, hey, I'll trade you this pick, but I want 3 picks back. And I'm like, I don't want to set myself up where I'm like picking up like junk at the end. So, so sometimes I'll just play it safe and hope the draft falls the way I want it to.
Yeah. So speaking of that, James Robinson, I had him on my team last year. Picked him up week 1. And speaking of the draft falling, I had DJ Moore, Julio Jones, AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf.
Holy cow!
My team was pretty loaded.
Well, you traded for DK.
I traded James Robinson for DK.
Yeah.
Just want to put that out here on the internet.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara and David Montgomery.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive for a 12 team.
You had McCaffrey?
No.
Did I hear you say CMC?
I
think you might have thrown that in there.
Okay, well, I meant DJ Moore.
Okay.
I meant
you did not have
if
him.
I said McCaffrey.
Also, Dalvin Cook and Derek Henry.
I had all these guys.
I felt like you kind of snuck him in there, but
Anyway,
the team was pretty good.
So your draft, your picks this year, are you drafting like the 12th then?
I'm drafting, So 12th, which it'll technically be like 24 because if you factor in keepers.
Yeah. But you have Kamara, so you're set up pretty well.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Are you worried about Kamara's production with like Breeze not being there anymore or anything?
Yeah, I'm a little worried, but then I look at the other options, and like Michael Thomas, obviously there's been lots of drama going on there. Like I'm not scared of Callaway and just the wide receivers. Like he's like the offense is going to run through him. So I
Yeah.
think he'll drop a little bit, but I don't think it'll be anything crazy.
Yeah.
And at least like in the past, he's been like pretty injury resistant, like not perfect, but like for as good as a running back is, like not bad at all. So yeah, I'm not that worried. No.
Yeah. Awesome.
Speaking of the perceptions of different running backs, top tier running backs, a trade went down in our league today that Parker doesn't know about. He knows a trade happened.
I was looking at the
But
Google Doc and I read this and I don't know what happened. So
well, you're about to find out. Aaron Jones got traded for Saquon Barkley. Keeper swap. I got Aaron Jones. I gave up Saquon Barkley. Thoughts?
Oh,
this is interesting. I want to know your thoughts.
I like that. I like that on both ends. I mean, Aaron Jones, I mean, he has Aaron Rodgers, right? So he's going to be a beast with Aaron Rodgers there. My concern would be long-term with Aaron Jones, with AJ Dillon creeping up, and then Aaron Rodgers probably his last hurrah this year. So how's that going to affect long-term if you're looking to keep him as a keeper? Saquon Barkley, though, I'm actually like pretty high on Saquon Barkley in terms of coming back healthy. But he also plays for the Giants, and as an Eagles fan, I hate the Giants. So, but like, I mean, there are a lot of concerns with the Giants, obviously. Galladay's still injured. So defense is definitely obviously going to be focused on Barkley, but I think he's going to return. I think he seems pretty healthy. He's still super young. He's going to get a ton of targets. Are you guys PPR league or no? Yeah.
PPR.
So I have Barkley ranked higher than Jones. But and you also have a high pick this year, right?
Yes, I'm drafting number 3.
Yeah. So I mean, you could easily pair Aaron Jones with potentially, depending on who the keepers are, potentially another pretty solid running back if you wanted to go the running back route. So no, I don't think that was on either end. I don't think that was a bad trade.
And
I'll take that.
I do know like Owen's personality wise, you're a guy that likes to, for the most part, play it relatively safe.
I'm trying to get away from that.
Yeah, you are.
Generally, yes.
But in the past,
I play it.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Barkley, there's actually my wife Ashley, we do our keeper league. We actually keep, so it's kind of like a little dynasty, because dynasty, you're keeping the whole squad. Our keeper league, we keep 3 keepers.
Okay.
So my wife has Barkley as one of her keepers. And she keeps talking how she wants to trade him because the huge injury. I mean, obviously he played like 4 snaps and then got hurt. So there's a lot of unknowns there, but I think he'll come back.
Yeah.
Put up production.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's a lot of question marks, but speaking of running backs, a question I selfishly want to know, but I'm sure all the listeners will want to know as well, is who are some guys in the mid to later rounds at the running back position that you think could be solid running back 2, or like, have good upside, guys that you could plug into your lineup and just be perfectly happy with them?
So I like, I mean, especially now with Cam Akers out, I look at Darrell Henderson. I'm not worried about Sony. Is it Sony?
Yeah, Sony Michel.
Being traded. Was that yesterday? Today? Was that this morning?
Yeah,
I think it was
yesterday.
So with him being traded, I'm not worried about him coming on board. I mean, he'll take some carries here and there, but so I see Henderson as a nice plug and play for the Rams. Some other ones, I mean, it'll be interesting to see now as the season nears how high up he goes, but we've talked about, I mean, James Robinson is he's probably going in I don't know what round, but he's probably ranked. He's ranked like RB like 21, 22. So I think James Robinson he proved himself last year, and now with a better quarterback, I think he'll be a great plug and play. Another one I like is I just blanked. Oh, Myles Gaskin.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah. Wait, I want to hear this because
He's good.
yeah,
I love Miles Gaskin. He was on my team last year, and he did pretty well for me. As he wasn't necessarily a starter every week, but he's one of those guys that can definitely be put into like a flex, especially given like with COVID right now. It seems like COVID in the NFL is worse this year than it was last year.
yeah,
Like Ryan Tannehill just got tested positive and is out. And even with these guys being vaccinated. So with that being said, like it'll be nice to have depth on your bench is going to be really important. And Gas can potentially be that guy. He's also looked really good in the preseason. Like the first game, I think he disappeared. And people were all of a sudden like really concerned dropping him in the rankings. And the second game he did awesome, and everyone's like, oh yeah. I'm pretty high on the Dolphins this year in terms of production. So like Tua, I think will have a really good season. Hopefully, all the receivers can stay healthy. But I think Gaskin will play a big part with getting targets. And he's someone that'll go pretty late, or has been going pretty late, or
Yeah,
in the
no,
round. So I think he would be a good steal.
Yeah. Do you
Depending on
subconsciously favor Derrick Henry just because of his name?
What's that?
Do you subconsciously favor Derrick Henry in your analysis simply because of his name?
I love Derrick Henry, although he spells it a little weird. Let's be honest. But no, Derrick Henry, although except he's one of those guys that like, yeah, he's one of those guys that like, I don't know why people like seem to look down on him a little bit. Like he's still like ranked like in the top 5 running backs, but it seems like every year, I mean, he's led the league in rushing the past 2 years. Just rushed for over 2,000 yards. He might not get as many targets in terms of like, in PPR and that kind of thing, but yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah,
I think I have him ranked, I think number 4. But I mean, he's guaranteed. It'll be interesting now that Julio's there, like, just what that offense looks like. But yeah, if they're at the 5-yard line, it's like he's pretty much going to score.
Yeah. I think it's like everybody wants like the flashy, like he's going to catch a ton of passes, but like Derrick Henry is just a different guy running the ball. Like he's absolutely absurd. So, and what you're going to get with him too. People are saying like, oh, he's getting a little older, but he's Derrick Henry. Like the man is not normal. So
I was shocked to find out he was 27. That's like running backs aren't supposed to be this good at that age.
Yeah, I mean that's the concern, is when is he gonna like just fall off the radar? But
hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, it hasn't happened yet, and I'll ride him to the ground if that's. I don't have him on my team, but if I did, I would just. He's just such a consistent producer.
Yeah, the volume has never been an issue for him.
No.
Another question I have is, where is your cutoff between tier 1 wide receivers and tier 2 wide receivers? So by that I mean like whether you have like Calvin Ridley, DK, like
they're all probably top 10, but like there's a bit of a gap between maybe like 6 and 7.
Yeah, like where's your gap?
My gap is probably, so I have I would say like Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins. I would say Calvin Ridley. And then there might be a tier break there.
Okay.
I might have
is Tyreek Hill here?
Tyreek Hill's.
Oh, sorry, Tyreek Hill. Yeah, I'm going off the top of my head. Yeah, Tyreek Hill. Metcalf is going to be in tier 2 for me.
Okay.
And then am I missing anyone?
I think that's the.
And then you have like AJ Brown and Justin Jefferson. So like Brown, Jefferson, and Metcalf are like right there, but there's a little break there for me.
Okay.
Especially with like AJ Brown, you have Julio now, so there may be a little less targets. Justin Jefferson's awesome. I want to see it year 2, like what that looks like with him. Metcalf is awesome too. I worry sometimes about like what direction they're headed. Are they gonna Pete Carroll talks about like we're going to run the ball more and all that kind of stuff. And Russ Wilson disappeared at the second half of the year, which obviously hurts Metcalf a little bit. So yeah, I would say those 5 receivers at the top, and then there's that tier break. I would probably have at 6 and 7, I'd have probably Brown and Jefferson, and then Metcalf at 8.
Okay.
All right.
I would say. So yeah, I'd say probably after Ridley. So yeah, Adams. I miss Tyreek. I'd have Tyreek up there. I'd probably say Devontae, Tyreek, Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins, and Calvin Ridley.
Okay.
But really, I mean, if I had any one of those guys as my number 1 receiver, I mean, you're set.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm going to be trying to trade for one of those guys, since there's no way that any of them are going to be able to be there for me. I'm looking at, it's like
half those guys are getting kept.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I was going to say it depends on who's being kept, but
yeah.
And you're at the swing there, so you'll definitely come away with 2 good guys.
Oh yeah. I have lots of options. I'm keeping flexibility is my motto.
Yeah,
It is.
Well, it is now. I just created it.
Sure. Why not?
I don't know what I want to go. Like, we're just gonna see who's there, and I'm gonna just pick based on.
Yeah, sometimes that's what I always tell people is like, you kind of go in with a plan, but be flexible, and be ready to pivot. Especially if someone, if sometimes you get those positional runs where like all of a sudden you're set to pick and like you have 5 picks before you're ready to pick, and all of a sudden 5 running backs go in a row. Try to zig and maybe get that receiver that's sitting there instead of drafting, like the next running back, right? Like you might have to like pivot depending on what goes. So be flexible. That's a good word. I like that.
Okay. So I was reading some of your articles as like a preparation for this. And there was one you had about 3rd-year wide receivers, and it was like breakout or fake out.
Yes.
One, on the podcast, we like to kind of a lot of times on like sports talk, they have a game like that where it's you take something that is good and something that is bad and they rhyme. It's like a common type of game setup. So we've created the very dumbed down version of or nah. So I appreciated the game there. Parker created his own game for this.
Oh yeah.
That we're calling the Goldilocks Game. Don't know how I feel about the name. We had like 5 minutes to come up with it. So kind of on the fly there. But basically we created a list of players, and then we're going to have you tell us if their ADP is too high for you, too low for you, or just right. Do you want to?
Okay. Oh, I like that. Okay. I get the Goldilocks reference.
Yeah. It's not bad, right? We got alliteration.
Alliteration is what matters. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
First guy up, we got Jamar Chase.
Oh, Jamar Chase. So he's too high for me. I worry about him a little bit. He hasn't looked good in preseason. I think the other night he was targeted 3 times and dropped all 3 passes. So, and obviously preseason is such a small sample size. It wasn't even Burrow, I don't think, throwing to him. But then there's also stuff coming out about domestic violence kind of stuff with him now, which is never a good start to an NFL
especially
career.
As a rookie.
Yeah, like so. And I'm always hesitant on rookies a little bit. Like not everyone is going to be the like Justin Jeffersons. So I want to see like how's Burrow going to come back with his recovery from injury. Their offensive line are they going to stink again? So yeah, I would say I haven't looked at recent ADP, but I would say he's still too high for me.
All right, Antonio Gibson.
Oh, I love him. I would say he's too low. I actually think Gibson could probably potentially break into the top 10. Although I think right now his ADP, he's sitting running backs, he's sitting at like between the 10 and 13 range. Yeah, I love Gibson. McKissick will probably steal some targets there, like he did last year a little bit, but I think Gibson, again, with a better quarterback, as long as Fitzpatrick doesn't die or shave his beard or anything like that. I think Gibson's too low. I could see him being, I say top 10, but I could even see him going like top 8. So draft Gibson.
He's in my range with that number 3 pick in the keeper league. So
Oh, see, okay, yeah, I love him.
This is another guy selfishly I think that Owen wants to hear about, but I also kind of want to hear about Matthew Stafford.
Oh, Matthew Stafford. He's, I was making notes before we came on this podcast tonight. I'm like super high on the Rams receivers this year. Cup and Woods specifically, but part of that is Stafford. I think going back to the keeper league, one of my keepers years ago was Calvin Johnson, and now Calvin Johnson is like obviously set apart from everyone else. But I grew a love for Stafford during that time just because their connection was ridiculous. But I think Stafford has some left in the tank. His ADP right now, I would say based on all the other quarterbacks, he's probably just right.
Okay.
But I could see him outperforming his ADP a little bit. So maybe a little low, just right, maybe a little too low. But I think with the Akers injury, I think they will be forced to pass a little more than maybe they were planning on originally. So I think we'll see. Again, as long as Stafford's had dealt with some injuries, as long as he stays healthy, I think we'll get some good production out of him.
Yeah, I heard all the time. Like I hear fantasy football people on the podcast, they say like, yeah, he's not going to like offer a ton with his legs, which is totally true. But it's like, that's another one of those flashy things, like running backs catching passes. Like sometimes like you're not going to have such a high like ceiling, but his floor is super, super set. And that offense is going to be really, really good.
He'll be consistent. And he has, I mean, you think about like on the Lions, ever since Calvin Johnson's left, he hasn't had really like a great receiving core. So now he has like actually like a pretty decent team. So I think we will see some of the old Stafford come back a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were just mentioning his running mate got traded, Damien Harris.
Oh, Damien Harris. I think people are way too high on him right now, especially now that Sony's been traded, and now that everyone's like, oh, it's Harris's backfield. It's still Belichick though. Like you can never trust a Patriots running back system back there. My concern with Harris is which sounds like Mac Jones could potentially be a starter. If Cam Newton starts though, he's going to steal a lot of the touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. People are I was just talking to someone the other day. Damien Harris was drafted in the 6th round. That's pretty high for me. Like I would look at him as the middle kind of guy that we were talking about earlier, the later rounds there. But if you're drafting in the 6th round, I mean, you're planning on starting Damien Harris every single week. I'd like him to be more, if I could get him on my bench, that'd be awesome. But to rely on him starting every week would concern me a little bit. So I'd say he's probably too high for me.
So
I love Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, the preseason guy.
Yeah, he's been awesome. The rookie, I think now, especially with Sony out, I think he'll also get some looks there. So,
yeah, I agree. I heard that like Sony, he might have been a cut candidate from this team, and so of course they get like
all those picks
out of it or whatever. Like they always get good value out of their picks. But I feel like we got two more guys to ask about. I'm going to ask, so Julio Jones, he's been on my team for like the past 4 years.
It's impressive.
3 years.
You've never kept him. You've always drafted him.
Yeah. It just happens that I don't go into it thinking I'm going to draft him, but I always draft him. And last year, it wasn't perfect, but I didn't need him to be perfect since I had really good wide receiver depth.
That's
what
you want.
But anyway, he's just a beast. But this year, obviously, it's a different situation. He's with the Titans. He's going to be probably the wide receiver 2. So he's going to have wide receiver 2 cornerbacks on him for the most part, maybe.
Yeah.
But what do you think about his situation? Is he too high, too low, or just right?
I would say he's probably just right. He he concerns me a little bit, again, given his injury history. He's getting older. He's probably on the down peak or downturn of his career now. He's also on a team that, like we talked about, I mean, Derrick Henry's getting, I mean, upwards of 300 carries a season. AJ Brown is obviously going to get his targets. So we're not going to see, the alpha receiver that we once saw in Atlanta. But I would say he's probably still good for, I mean, he could still get 100 targets, and be a good wide receiver 2 on your team. So I would say he's probably he's probably ranked as like the 16, probably like between like wide receiver 15 and 20, probably, if you're looking at the rankings. So I would say that's probably pretty good. But if you're looking in a keeper league or dynasty, if you're looking at Julio, don't expect him to be around too much longer. But at least for this season, I would say he's probably just right where he's at.
Okay.
So if you want to draft him again, go for
it. All right. Thanks for giving me the green light.
Yeah, there you
go. The last one I'll throw out is Josh Jacobs. He was actually pretty good last year, despite everybody being pretty down on him this year. They signed Kenyon Drake, so that might cut into his touches. What do you think of Josh Jacobs?
I think he's probably another one. I would say he's probably just right where he's at. He's one I can't figure out. Like, I don't know why I'm kind of like the guy when I hear Josh Jacobs, I'm like, oh, I don't like, he's one of my, like, I try to stay away from. But like you said, he actually, when you look up his stats, he actually did pretty well last year. Him and Kenyon Drake, I would have to look at the exact, but when I was actually looking recently, they both, obviously they were on separate teams last year, but they both ranked inside the top, like, I think it was like inside the top 5 for rushing attempts in the red zone. So like both of them together, I think will create, the problem with that is they're going to bring in Drake too. So you may lose those, Jacobs breaks off a 30-yard run and gets down at the 1-yard line. You're like, oh, awesome. And then Drake runs it in for the touchdown. Like, that kind of stuff gives me heartburn. And I need Tums daily for that kind of stuff. So I'm like, I don't want someone on my team like that, where like constantly you have this other guy who's going to be stealing those touchdowns. But I would say at his ADP, you're probably right. He's probably just right where he's at. He'll probably produce those consistent weeks, but there will be frustrating times where touchdowns, like Drake will score 2 touchdowns in a game and you're like, that should have been Jacobs.
Yeah. So we got a couple more questions, but I know one of them that I want to ask is, who are some guys in the later rounds that you're targeting? So guys that you seem to be coming out of, like, more than often, like drafting these guys, or like a higher percentage that you're going to have these guys on your team, guys that are like in the later rounds. Is there any guys like that for you?
Yes, let me look at it, because I actually was writing down some of these. One guy that that's been falling in drafts a little bit in the later rounds, at least in drafts like in the past few weeks, is Brandon Cooks. He's a guy that I have been targeting a lot. I know he plays for the Texans and they're probably going to be terrible, but he's still the number 1 receiver. The Texans backfield is potentially a mess. And I'm like, even if it's Tyrod Taylor throwing to him, I mean, he's a competent quarterback. Cooks is going to get a ton of targets. And if it's in the later rounds, Cooks is probably actually on my bench. Like you said, you have that, now you have that depth. If anything, maybe if you trade something, whether it's Cooks or it's another receiver, you can just plug in Cooks later. Like I think Cooks is going to get a ton of targets. So he's one that I would be targeting. Another one that I'd be targeting is in the later rounds is Corey Davis.
Okay.
I think the Jets are going to surprise people this year. Zach Wilson has looked awesome. Everyone's focused. This is such like a heavy rookie quarterback class. Everyone's been focusing on Justin Fields and Trey Lance. Like you barely hear about Trevor Lawrence.
I know. It's crazy.
It's weird how like he has amazing hair and he was the first overall and you never hear about it.
Yeah.
But everyone's talking about like when will Fields start and Lance and Jones. But Zach Wilson is one that I could easily see like turning that franchise around, especially if Michael Carter and Corey Davis. I think he could potentially be the number one on that team. And he's a guy that's going super late in rounds. And because you have Elijah Moore, but again, a rookie, who knows how that pans out. So I think Corey Davis is a great value in later rounds. And then let's see a running back. A running back that, let's see here. Oh, another a later running back. Now it's a rookie, but Javonte Williams in Denver.
Yeah.
He's a guy that he might not get the start, right? He might still be Melvin Gordon, but Melvin Gordon is like walking on crutches, just waiting for his knees to give out. I mean, he could easily be like the Todd Gurley, where it's just all of a sudden he's just like nothing. And now with Teddy Bridgewater now getting the start too, that could bump up Williams a little bit. So yeah, I would say Javonte, especially because you can probably get him pretty late. So again, he's a bench guy. If you're able, depending on how deep your bench is, if you're able just to be patient, hold on to him, he could pay off in the later rounds. When you win your second back-to-back championship.
Really?
So.
Yeah. Hey, that's definitely
that's what you're looking for. Those upside, those late picks. Like in my draft this last week, we're in like the second to last round, and at that point, some of the people in my league were just like, okay, I'm ready to be done. Like they just look at their list, Zach Ertz, and they're just like picking people just to. And I'm like, I'm taking my time looking for like who's that like diamond in the rough you're gonna find, and try to like look for that upside. So Williams could be that, later in the year.
The Justin Jefferson, the James Robinson.
Okay. This is a little specific to our league, but of the keepers, Travis Kelce has been kept and Darren Waller has been kept. So we're specifically in even more of a tight end crunch, but everybody drafting, there's not a lot of great tight ends out there. So who's a guy that you think not necessarily nobody's going to be as good as the big three, but somebody that can make a run at being even close to as good as Kelce, Waller, Kittle?
Yeah. So he's pretty high up there. He probably like I easily top 5, but I'm pretty big on TJ Hawkinson. I had him on my team last year and he was awesome. Now that was with Stafford, so I'll be interested to see with Jared Goff. But again, Detroit really doesn't have many great receivers. I mean, you're looking at like Tyrell Williams, St. Brown, the rookie.
Yeah, I'm on. Yeah.
So like obviously they'll get targets, but I mean Hawkinson could easily see over 100 targets if he stays healthy. And Swift is already kind of dealing with injuries, so like I could easily see him creeping up into the top 3. Obviously you have Kyle Pitts. He's like the freak show everyone's like raving about. He's one of those guys, if we're still playing that game, I actually think he's like almost a little too high. Like I think everyone's just like raving so hard about him, and like what if he doesn't work out? I don't know. Like I'd be worried about like pulling him like in the second round. But with Julio gone, he's going to see a ton of looks. Someone later, as far as a tight end later, I really like Logan Thomas, like guys like Logan Thomas, Jonnu Smith. Now they're not going to be like top 3, but typically if I don't get, I had said earlier, I wait on tight end. If I don't get like the top three, maybe like Hawkinson, Pitts, the top 4 or 5, I just sit and wait then, and I'm looking pretty late at tight end.
Yeah.
So I look at those, I started looking at those guys, even Logan Thomas. I mean, he's been going a little higher, but I try to find the Jonnu Smiths or the guys later that can at least give me pretty consistent production, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, it's never certain with tight end. It's
No,
absolutely, the position is super thin.
it is.
So I think we're gonna have one more question to wrap it up, and it's going to be, what is your most craziest out there fantasy football take for this season? What's the thing that's like absolutely absurd, but it's like, it's just a random like guess, but what would you?
It's not a guess, it's a take.
Oh,
a
it's a
take makes
take.
it sound smarter
Okay,
than saying
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
guess.
All right, yeah.
I don't know how crazy this is, but Patrick Mahomes will not be the top quarterback by season end. And
Whoa!
Wow.
Oh my word! There it is. He was a little delayed there. That was good call.
So
Mahomes won't be the number one.
He won't be the number one, and
I'd
go as far as saying he won't be a number 2 either.
Whoa! What?
All right, we're back.
What?
I'm back.
That can't be right.
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully
that's what it is, man. You got to go.
That happens.
Go home.
I want that to happen.
Wow.
Even Mahomes finishing as if that would happen, number 3, he's still gonna like put up ridiculous numbers.
Yeah.
Like I just think the quarterbacks right now are insane.
They're crazy.
And that's not to say like if you were in a league and Mahomes is falling to me, I would easily take Mahomes as my quarterback. But I don't think he's going to finish as the number 1.
Mhm.
Now that I've had some time about it, that
but Kelsey will still probably finish as the number 1 tight end. And
yeah. Kelsey is just
but,
he has a stranglehold on that position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Do you guys have a crazy take?
Oh, okay. You go
I'll
first.
flip it on you.
Oh, why do I? Okay. I don't want to give away anything that might. Like,
that's true.
Who I'm going after in the first round.
Well,
you're not anywhere near me.
It doesn't matter to me.
So I guess.
True, yeah.
I'm fine.
You just don't have to tell Luke. Luke's drafting 1. So how we did it was, the top 8 made the playoffs, but the bottom 4 did a losers bracket. And if you won the losers bracket, you got the number 1 pick
to prevent tanking.
Okay, right.
And Luke won the losers bracket, the 3rd member of our podcast.
Yeah.
So he's picking first. So him and Owen first and 3rd, but I'm going 12th. So it's like,
well, that makes sense. Yeah, you can't see much. Who's his keeper?
Darren Waller. He is probably the worst keeper in the league.
Okay. So clearly, his team wasn't very good.
Yeah. Actually, I got Saquon because he on the last week was making like a playoff push. He was 1 game away from the playoffs and he just had to win and he was in. And he needed a wide receiver. And I think I gave him Robert Woods for Saquon Barkley just so that I could keep Saquon. And then he lost and it was just not worth it at all for him.
You got Woods for Saquon?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Just because he felt good about his chances of getting into the playoffs.
And the thing is,
so that was probably the worst move he could have made.
Yes.
Like that was pretty bad. Like so that's where if I'm trading like a stud, I want to get some stuff back for that.
Yeah.
Like you probably should have asked for a pick or if you guys aren't doing picks yet, but yeah, that's kudos to you.
Yeah, Owen.
Nailed it. I would say my hottest take.
Well, if you don't want to give anything away, certainly don't.
I'll probably go with somebody in like the 2nd or 3rd round, but I'll say that Tom Brady will be a top 5 quarterback. The Bucs are going to be really, really good.
Yeah, they are.
Okay. All right.
I can easily see that. Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I got 2 separate takes.
Oh boy.
Okay, so this first one's crazy. DeAndre Hopkins is the wide receiver 1. I don't know if that's well, it's not that crazy.
That's doable.
It's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. He'd have to jump, 4 spots.
Now, unfortunately, I'm not gonna get him anywhere, but oh well. And then number 2 is I didn't really think about number 2. I just said I was gonna do 2.
I can do a second one.
Okay,
while
all right, do a
you're
second one. Do a
stalling.
second one,
There,
yeah.
okay. My second one would be that Zeke is gonna be the number 2 running back this year. Zeke.
Oh, wow,
And I'm all in on the Cowboys offense. Unfortunately, again, as an Eagles fan, the Cowboys offense is gonna be so good. So I'll say Zeke finishes second.
Okay. How about this? Joe Mixon, top 5 running back.
Whoa, Joe Mixon.
Now that's controversial.
Okay.
That's
a big one. See,
that's a big one.
I'm not in on Mixon at all.
All right.
There's a lot of people
that's a good one.
I've got one more thing before we leave. I wasn't going to ask this, but then we were discussing that Luke's not going to hear this. So where should I be looking at 3? Because I would say my top target is probably Eckler, but I don't think he's going to get to me. If I'm guessing, the 2 guys that are picking in front of me, their keepers are Kelsey and Waller. So they're probably going running back because I don't think they're going to want to take Tyreek Hill and then have to wait to draft a running back till technically the 3rd round. So if Taylor and Eckler go before me, I'm kind of like, I don't know if there's one I want to go.
Who's your keeper again?
Aaron Jones.
Oh, that's right, Aaron Jones. So are you thinking you want another running back?
Yeah, yes.
So I mean, your options there are going to be I'm guessing. So let's see here.
Is Gibson there?
Gibson's there.
I was going to say you're going to have like Najee Harris, Antonio Gibson. Is Nick Chubb taken?
He's kept, yeah.
Kept. I'm assuming like Dalvin Cook is kept.
I think the top 3 general consensus wise would be Gibson, Harris, and Mixon.
Well, Mixon's been falling recently.
He has.
Yeah, I would say, well, that's a tough one. If Eckler's there, I would go Eckler. But if he's not there, between Antonio Gibson and Najee Harris, and actually it's funny because those were the first 2 picks in my in my league on Sunday. Najee Harris was pick 1. Again, we have 3 keepers, so like it's kind of like we're starting in like round 4. Najee Harris was pick 1, and then Antonio Gibson was 2.
Yeah,
that's such a tough one.
I agree. I would like Eckler, and so I'm like, with tiers, there's kind of like a drop off after him.
Yeah, I would say I mean, you never know. Some can surprise you because sometimes, like, did you say Tyreek Hill is there?
Yeah,
is he available?
And
because you could easily have someone like I don't know your league mates, but you could easily have someone. I mean, Tyreek have a top tight end and top receiver, and then they're like, oh, I'll just pick up the scraps of running back, and on the turnaround. So you could easily be surprised, and all of a sudden Tyreek gets drafted number 2, and you're like, oh, sweet, it worked out. But I would say, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with Harris or Gibson. I think I have Harris ranked a little higher than Gibson, because he's pretty much guaranteed, at least for this season. I mean, you have Roethlisberger back. He's guaranteed probably over 200 touches, and like volume is huge there. But Gibson, you also have, I mean, I think he's going to see a lot more work than he did last year. But we really don't know. And maybe Fitzpatrick stinks, and then So I would probably have Harris ranked the lowest. So I would probably go Eckler, Harris, and then Gibson.
Okay.
If you're looking at the running back, but
yeah.
It's hard because you also do have a good running back already. So like sometimes it is tempting to be like, oh man, getting Tyreek Hill or someone like that is also like very tempting. None that's where it's tough, because sometimes like you can also look at, if you can find someone, you can also look at potentially trading out of the 3.
If somebody
and trading back and getting, like, if I was in that spot and I'm like, oh, I can't decide. I mean, you have some good options, so I don't know if you'd want to do that, but potentially trading back in the first round and getting another pick in the second or third, and all of a sudden you have more picks and kind of using that leverage, like, hey, I have a top 3 pick. Does anyone want to trade?
That's true.
They're 12th overall, no. But does
really
anyone want to
want
trade
a
like
wide
back in the
receiver.
first? Yeah,
Yeah.
back in the first,
If
and
you
maybe
want-
You want Hill?
Well,
there you go. Right. But like I've seen people
Yeah.
do that in leagues where they
Yeah.
have a top first round pick, like a top 3, and they trade back in the first round and they pick up a second round. So all of a sudden you have 3 picks in the top, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, you walk away, you don't get the Eckler, but then you get an extra pick and you just get an added advantage to your team there. So you could also look at doing something like that. Sometimes I wait in the moment, although you're online. Is it a fast timer? Is it like a 2-minute kind of thing?
No, I think it's online, but I think we're gonna have at least 7 people in person. Like we'll just have,
like
like,
we're gonna have
okay.
out.
Yeah.
So
that's
if
nice.
it's somebody there in person that I'm able
Yeah.
to negotiate
So
with.
I would say you're set. Even if it's not Austin Eckler, you're set at getting Najee Harris is going to be great. And that's the thing is he could be, if you got someone like Najee Harris, you could potentially be set at keeper for years. I mean, if this league continues.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing to look at too. I always try to look as I'm drafting, and my first couple rounds, I try to ask myself, like, could this be a keeper for me? So that's part of the other strategy. Aaron Jones might not be a keeper for you in the next couple of years, but Najee Harris could. So
Sure.
So yeah, I'd probably say if Eckler's not there and you want a running back, Harris is probably a pretty safe bet.
This is so now we're getting into my draft position. I'm looking at guys. This doesn't need to go
Selfish
on
questions.
the podcast. This is just like,
Yeah,
we have an
there we
expert.
go.
We want to use you. Well,
Yeah.
not use you. That sounds bad. I didn't mean it like that. I just meant I want to take your knowledge and put it into my
Yes.
so I
Yeah,
can
there
win
you
the
go.
league again.
Yeah.
Um
We'll have to text you our rosters.
Yeah, I was
after
gonna say I'm
Monday.
curious now.
Get like grades.
yeah. Oh yeah. Can you grade our rosters? That'd be awesome. Okay, here we go. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm looking at guys just that are ranked kind of in this range.
Yeah.
Mixon, Terry McLaurin, Keenan Allen, Allen Robinson. That's looking at guys around where I would be drafting.
And you've already got Kamara.
I've already got Kamara.
Yeah. Kamara. So you have a stud, like top 3 potential running back. So I might look at that turn there. Keenan Allen and Allen Robinson.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking at, like, I know Keenan Allen was like high up on my radar.
Yeah. Now you seem high on Mixon. So like I also like look at, like, if you have a guy that you're like, I really, there's some guys where like I really want them on my team. Like you're almost sad if they're not on your team.
Yeah.
If Mixon is that guy, absolutely go for it there, because you're not going to get him. He's not going to come back to you.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But like Keenan Allen, Allen Robinson, they're going to see. I mean, Allen Robinson has been seeing like
The Allen brothers.
150 targets a season. He's probably going to still see that. And that's been with bad quarterbacks his whole career. And there's a potential that Justin Fields is starting week 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, and then they build that connection.
They build that connection. Justin Fields could be pretty good. Probably better than Andy Dalton. So Allen Robinson is one of those that, like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know the name. I'm like, he plays for the Bears, but I think he could be really good. He's always that consistent, seeing those targets, seeing those
super safe guy.
And then Keenan Allen is another one of those, like, I mean, geez, last year he was seeing like 16 targets a game sometimes. And I think that'll continue. So like you could potentially walk away right there with 2. I mean, potentially they could be in the top 10, probably definitely in the top 15 receivers. And go ahead.
I was going to say, like, and those guys are usually like pretty safe. So then in the later rounds, I could play it more risky and go for guys with like really high upside. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're safe. I mean, Edwards-Helaire, he didn't do amazing last year, but he's also on the Chiefs. So like he's a guy that's not gonna make it back to you. That turn is tough because like you said, you want to look at guys that are like, there's always that bust in the first round, so you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So if Mixon is a big guy for you, absolutely go for him. And then you're pretty, I mean, if you draft a running back in that turn,
then
I would then load up on receivers. Like you're pretty set at running back and then just load up on receivers. Hey, are you guys like a one quarterback league?
Yeah, just one quarterback. So like we both, when you were saying you wait on quarterback, we were like, we do the same thing.
Yeah.
Except I drafted Dak Prescott, but that was like a little bit of an
fell into your lap.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, if it's like, it gets back to you in the fourth or fifth round and somehow Mahomes hasn't been taken, that's where you're like,
then you just,
I'm going to take the shot.
Yeah.
But because as soon as Mahomes, in some leagues, as soon as Mahomes is drafted, all of a sudden, like within that same round, someone's like, oh, I got to take Josh Allen. And all of a sudden you start seeing all these quarterbacks. And meanwhile, like, that receiver who I don't know, receiver. Let's see. My league quarterbacks went pretty early too. So like all of a sudden, like Josh Allen was taken in the second. Well, again, we have 3 keepers, so I guess it was like the 5th round. But Josh Allen was taken pretty early, and then Lamar Jackson was taken pretty early right after him. And meanwhile, guys like Chase Claypool, Cooper Kupp are still sitting out there, and I'm just like, yep, I'll take him. I'll take so, and then you can still get the Matthew Staffords, the Ryan Tannehill. You can still get these guys. Tom Brady, who's being drafted as like the 10th quarterback and could potentially finish as a top 5. But yeah, if they fall in your lap, then you kind of have to take the shot. But so I would say, if you choose Mixon with your first or second pick, load up on receiver. You're pretty set running back.
What about this? This is another debate I have in my head. It's like George Kittle.
I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah, because like I see like on ESPN, whatever, he's ranked 29, so that's like a little bit later. But I've seen him. It's technically the 2-3 turn. So, and I've seen him go like near the 2-3 turn a lot. So, like,
I mean,
entertain that. Like, what would you like?
I mean, like I said, like I typically wait on tight end just because, especially in my keeper league, like Kelsey's always kept Waller. Although Waller wasn't kept this year, but usually the tight ends just go super early, and I don't get a top 3, so then I just wait. But Kittle, I mean, you're getting a huge. I'm assuming you have to start one tight end.
Yeah, one tight end.
Flex or something, but you're getting a huge advantage at tight end that most people don't have in your league then at that point. So that's not a bad option there. Would I choose Kittle over some of the other guys we just talked about? I would probably draft like Keenan Allen over Kittle, but it's pretty close. But yeah, I mean, you do have, again, if you got Kittle, then you're set at tight end.
And wide receiver depth is so much better.
I mean, you're even in the wide receiver like 40s, you're getting guys like Odell Beckham who could still put up decent numbers this year. You're still getting guys. Wide receiver depth seems to be like deeper and deeper every year.
Yeah, like if I went running back, like already like Kamar, like I don't count him. And then like go Mixon or some running back, and then I go tight end. Then I would just go like wide receiver at the next turn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you would be set at running back and tight end for that matter. And then while other guys are trying to pick their running backs and their tight ends later, you're just grabbing the receivers that are left over.
I like to make stuff happen. Yeah,
figure it out.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not work. But we forget about those times we have a forward mindset.
Yeah.
Think about the future. The next one's always going to work out.
Yep.
You just rattled off like 3 inspirational quotes. That was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is going on a podcast, right? We gotta throw in some of those, get the viewership up.
Yes, definitely. That's what people are tuning in for.
Yeah.
Inspiration, not the information.
I don't know if we're definitely not going to use
Oh.
like all of it. Like
Oh.
when we asked you our
No,
specific.
I was like, oh, whoops, we went way over the half an
Yeah.
hour mark, whatever, but
Yeah,
it's fun.
we got into our specific questions, but that was very helpful. Thank you. We'll let
Oh,
you
you're
know what we ended up doing with those first.
Yeah,
few
let me know. I appreciate it.
How that falls. So yeah,
Awesome.
thank you for doing this. This was fun.
Hey, welcome anytime.
Yeah, it was really nice to meet you, Derek.
Yeah, you too. I don't know. For some reason, I realized I wasn't subscribed to your podcast, so I officially did. I watch all the videos, but then I was like,
Nice.
oh, you're actually subscribed. So now I'm subscribed. So, but no, keep up the good work. You guys are doing awesome. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wish I had started like when I was your age, like in high school and stuff. I wish I had started doing this kind of stuff early. Like I'm an old fogey now, but no, I wish I had started, like, obviously I've been playing for a while, but like writing articles or doing whatever, I wish I'd started a long time ago. So you guys are getting a good start. If you never ever need anything, let me know. So I'll have to tell all my buddies about your podcast, because there's always people looking for new podcasts and all that kind of stuff. So
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, we'll tell everybody about your articles.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But no, if you ever want to invite me back, I'd be happy to talk
Oh
football.
yeah.
Oh, definitely.
I think this might need to be an annual thing.
There you go.
Yeah. Or
Well,
by
good luck on your draft.
the end of season. Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Good luck on your draft. You
Yeah,
bet.
we'll try and kill it.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
definitely send them to you. So
All right, sounds good.
yeah. Thank you. See ya.
You bet. Hey, have a good night.
Yeah, you
You
too.
too.
Welcome back to All Sports All the Time, episode 114. Today is draft day, or should I say, was draft day, as we just drafted our low expectation league teams, and I would say it was a pretty terrible draft, as he probably ended up with the best team.
I'd say
This
it was a
right
little better
here
on
is
my end,
Christopher
but-
Patrick Titter, and he
Hello.
is here today to share with us his team. Chris, would you like to go and share your team? I'll share my team too, and so will Owen and Parker.
Yeah, so
He would like to share some of his team highlights.
I got pretty lucky today. So this is a keeper league, and my keeper was DeAndre Hopkins, and I had the 5th overall pick out of 12 teams. And I went with a kind of strange strategy. I got Stephon Diggs to complement DeAndre Hopkins in a not very deep running back draft, and everyone was kind of hating on me for it. But then the next round, I got lucky that Clyde Edwards-Helaire fell down, and I got to take him. So that was definitely good. Some other highlights, I got Justin Herbert as my QB1. We did a kind of...
Yeah, so...
yeah, you want to explain the trade we did?
Yeah, so we changed it this year so that you were able to trade draft picks during the draft and before the draft and stuff, so that, just I guess to make it more interesting, as opposed to just trading players during the regular season. So I traded my 85th and 86th pick for... No, was it 84? I think it was 84 and 85.
They were back-to-back.
You
Yeah.
traded
Mid-round
your 7 and 8
picks.
for his 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was 84 and 85 for 80 and like 89 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he got Justin Herbert and Robert Tonyan, and I got... Who did I get?
You got Dak Prescott.
I don't even know who I got.
You
Dak
got Dak
Prescott
Prescott,
and-
which was a good pick, and Zach Moss.
Zach Moss. So yeah, I think we...
Are you guys doing your podcast?
Special guest,
Yes.
Ella Wolf.
Yeah!
Your sponsor
She's
brought
not
to
in
you
the
by
fantasy
Ella
league.
Beats.
No, we'll cut
That's
that.
gonna-
We're gonna bleep it.
Your sponsor brought to you by brought to you by Ella Beats.
It's not live. We can bleep all of that. Also, they kind of just saw like your left hip. So that's yeah. There you
Alright, where were we?
go. You had just said what the trade was.
Yeah, and we kind of finished that.
And
so.
I think Luke was about to say, I think I won the trade.
Well, it wasn't really a win. It was just I think my trading up. I think it benefited me. Some of the highlights of my team. Well, I was picking first overall in the draft, and I got Jonathan Taylor with the first pick. It was pretty much between him and Austin Eckler, because, I mean, it's a keeper league, so a lot of the top guys were gone. But they were still pretty good, so I took Jonathan Taylor.
And
then,
you have Darren Waller as your keeper.
Yeah, and I have Dalen.
Dalen.
Dalen Waller, guys.
Go
Darren Waller as my keeper. So I didn't really have to draft a tight end until late, and that's even if I decided to draft a backup, which I did. I drafted Tyler Higbee, who I think could be a good backup tight end. And if he's scoring really well with Matt Stafford throwing to him, I think I could even put him in my flex some weeks if I need to.
Yeah, I like that. I definitely like that pick. I mean, you don't really need a Tyler Higbee with your Darren Waller, but I think it was still a good backup tight end pick. I kind of went. My overall strategy was kind of going for guys who don't really have anyone else on their team. Like I got Mike Davis from the Falcons. Mike Dravis. Good old Mike Dravis from the Falcons. No, Mike Davis, who, I mean, at this point, other than like Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts, I mean, they don't really have much going on there. Brandon Cooks, I don't think I can honestly name another player on the Texans offense. So I got him as my third wide receiver. And then just a few other guys like Marquise Brown, that's like the only wide receiver on the Ravens. So that's kind of my overall strategy.
Two of my favorite picks that I made later in the draft were Elijah Moore and Justin Fields. Justin Fields is my backup quarterback. I think he's going to have a good season, but obviously he's not starting, so I hope that maybe he'll start scoring some points later, and then I can throw him in my lineup if he's scoring more than Dak, or if Dak gets injured, which would suck. And then Elijah Moore, another rookie, having Zach Wilson throwing to him, I think he could probably be pretty good.
And I got Tua. I did pull through as a diehard Dolphins fan, and I got Tua. Luke despises Tua. He does not like him at all. But I think it's his year. I think he's gonna be great this year. He has so many more weapons. All of his wide receivers this season, like none of them played for him last year. So I think that's like a big help.
As you guys know, I am a bandwagon Dolphins fan minus Tua.
Yeah.
So if he performs really well, I have no choice but to be a Tua fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Luke, can I get a clip of you saying Tua will not be good this year so I can cut it and throw it at you at the end of the year?
Tua will not be good this year. There you go.
You gotta say Tua equals trash.
Tua
Yes.
Tua equals trash.
Wow, that was unnecessary.
That's really harsh.
All right, you start talking about your team.
You want me to go first? Okay. I had the third overall pick. My keeper was Saquon, but I traded him for Aaron Jones in the first blockbuster trade of the year. I obviously feel good about the trade because I did it. Basically, I took the safer route. Aaron Jones is a bit of a safer play than Saquon.
I don't like that trade from Owen's perspective. Saquon is going to be a beast this year.
I don't like the Giants' offense this year. I took Antonio Gibson with my third overall pick. I really wanted Austin Eckler, but he was taken at the number 2, so I had to take Antonio Gibson at 3, which I'm okay with. He could have a really big season. I would have preferred Eckler, but I'll take Gibson. It's a good pick. And then I got Chris Godwin as my wide receiver 1. TJ Hawkinson, I did not think that I was going to take a tight end as early as I did, but got TJ Hawkinson, I think, in the 5th round, which I felt decent about. I also picked up Chris Carson, so my top 3 running back... Oh, yeah. No, wait. Luke got Chris Carson. Trades. That happened. Luke and I made a trade in which he received Chris Carson and Robert Woods, and I received Josh Jacobs and Chris Godwin. So Josh Jacobs is my running back 3, which I feel really good about. Wide receiver, my starters aren't fantastic. I have Chris Godwin and then either Juju Smith-Schuster or Deebo Samuel. So don't feel super strong about my top wide receivers.
I got
great wide receiver depth though. Yeah. Love the guys on my bench.
I got some nice wide receivers, so maybe we could look for a trade in the future.
I like my depth. I need a top end wide receiver. Yeah. Maybe I could try to trade with Chris since I have 3 really good running backs and he's a little weaker in the running back area.
I don't think Chris is going to give you DeAndre Hopkins or Stephon Diggs.
No, I mean, I might have to make a pretty good offer to try to get Diggs. But I also got Trey Lance, who's projected 1.7 points in week 1, but I'm planning on starting him a little later on. I really liked that pick at the end of the draft.
But he drafted him before Ryan Tannehill.
Who's my starter? Yeah,
I don't know why you didn't draft Ryan Tannehill first.
Because I would have rather had Trey Lance.
Huh. Interesting. I think your team's pretty good. Don't agree with Hawkinson. But other than that, I mean, you're
I got
looking
the Dolphins defense, which Chris liked.
pretty good. I like Gibson this year. He's going to be really good. And then what's your flex going to be?
Probably Josh Jacobs week 1, but if any of my like 3 bench wide receivers does better than anticipated, he could easily take over that spot.
I like Michael Pittman, and I really like Trey Sermon, so those are 2 really good picks too.
So we basically just listed my whole roster. So there's that.
Now I'll go on to my team, which is the best team, and who will repeat,
No.
just like I did last year. Owen doesn't think so, but nobody thought I was going to win last year either. I was predicted to finish 11th. Now this time I'm projected to finish 10th. So
I'm projected to finish 11th this year.
So
there you go. Luke has the best name in the league, which I think might correlate to who has the best team.
wait,
So-
did I have the best name last year in the league?
You have one of
Parker's
the better names.
Peeps?
Parker's Peeps is up there.
Yeah,
It's
thank you.
it's pretty good. Luke's team, Gridiron Man, with Iron Man as his logo, is the best though. He's overtaken.
It
you.
is. I have to
So.
admit that.
Yeah. Your
Uh,
roster.
All right, my roster. Alvin Kamara is my keeper. Amazing keeper. My second running back is James Robinson. who
Terrible pick.
Owen, explain your reasoning.
I think that
He
I think that James Robinson's year last year was one of the best years he's ever going to have. I don't think he can repeat.
I 100% agree.
I don't think he can repeat that level, so I would not want him as my RB2. I think you're anticipating him being what, like running back 15-ish?
Yeah, at the minimum.
I'm thinking he'll be like early 20s. Let's say he'll be running back 21.
So who would you have drafted ahead of him?
Definitely Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I
Yeah.
think he'll be way
But
better
that's
than
one
him.
guy. Who else would you have if you have him at 21?
Well, I'm trying to think of other guys that were in like that range. I took Josh Jacobs. I would take Josh Jacobs ahead of James Robinson. I'd take Chris Carson ahead of James Robinson also.
You got to realize
Not J.K. Dobbins anymore because he got hurt.
there's
But when
nobody.
J.K. was healthy, I would have taken him over
There's
Robinson.
nobody behind. Like, have you seen the tape of James Robinson, what he did last year, how efficient he was, how good he was as a running back?
Have you seen the tape? You've been doing film study on him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You haven't?
I have not done films. I've not seen the tape
Oh,
on James Robinson.
I've done film
no.
on every guy I drafted.
Really?
Yes, I don't draft
Wow.
him if I don't watch
Good
them
for
play.
you.
Anime. James Robinson's gonna be a
Who's your
stud.
film guy?
I'm the film guy. It's called YouTube.
Okay.
I watch
like, where
I
do
watch
you-
top 100.
You
plays
go
from
NFL.
last
Okay,
season.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Top like 50 like farthest
Players.
rushes. And then like I watched James Robinson pull off like a 70.
So you watch James Robinson make a bunch of good plays because it's on the top 100. And
Yeah,
then you
exactly.
say he's good.
Yes.
Okay.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's gonna finish probably top 12 running back in my eyes. He finishes running back 7 last year.
Low
so-
end RB2.
I mean, he is my RB2. So
But it's fine because you have Kamara, so you can take that risk.
exactly.
It's a big risk,
It's not a risk.
but you can take it.
You just don't like it. All right, all in favor of James Robinson, raise your hand.
They're behind the camera. They can't.
Yeah, but
It looks like it's okay.
so that's 3 on 1 right there. Anyway, my 2 wide receivers, Keenan Allen, who I was debating Keenan Allen or Terry McLaurin. I went Keenan Allen just because I like the Chargers offense a little bit better. Keenan Allen's a little bit more proven. He is a little older, but I just like him a lot better. I think that he's a little taller, a little stronger than Terry McLaurin, and I like.
He is definitely.
I
a
don't
little
like Ryan
taller.
Fitzpatrick as much as I
Bald
like
head makes him better.
Chris's QB Justin Herbert. So
My
that-
favorite pick
that's
you
what
had
I'm
was
saying.
getting Brandon Ayuk, who's currently in your flex spot and wide receiver 3.
Yeah,
He's gonna be really good this year.
yeah. Tyler Lockett. I love Tyler Lockett. I was so happy I came away with him. And since I came away with him, I also wanted to. I was telling Owen earlier about stacking and how if you get a wide receiver and QB on the same team, it exponentially like raises your potential for scoring. So I drafted Russell Wilson.
I got Debo Samuel and Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Stack that.
Well, that's not quite as impressive as my stack. And
They're
then
both on my bench.
exactly. Yeah, stack them down in your roster or you're never going to play them. Then I got Brandon Ayuk. As Owen said, he's going to be a stud, absolute
Yeah.
insane. Got Noah Fant.
I might make a trade offer for him.
No Fant. Got him the last pick in round 8, which is insane value. Usually he's like end of round 7, but that's like a whole extra round of value. So I had to pick him up. Patriots defense, because obviously they're gonna win me weeks. Chase, because why not? Just draft a guy named Chase. He's gonna do well. Then we got Eagles player Devonta Smith.
Great pick.
Or Devontae Smith.
Great pick.
Amazing pick because this guy is a stud. Look at it last year. Justin Jefferson. He had no competition for targets.
I don't know if he's gonna
Stephon
be that
Diggs had
good.
just left. Same thing with Devontae Smith. He's got a Jalen Hurts is at QB. He's going to be airing it out a ton like you saw last year. Devontae Smith is going to kill it. And then other guys down my bench, you got Jamal Williams, who's going to be an absolute stud when DeAndre Swift gets injured week 3. Then you got Ronald Jones, Darnell Mooney. Mecole Hardman's going to be absolutely insane. Sammy Watkins left. He's the true wide receiver 2 in the best offense in the league.
I think Parker might have the best bench of wide receivers with the trio of Devonta Smith, Darnell Mooney, and Russell Gage.
What? Yeah, I know. It's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely
His
insane.
running back depth is terrible, though.
No, it's not. I have a guy that's about to be.
You have
he's about
Alvin
to be
Kamara and
this
nothing else.
This is a top 20 guy, Jamal Williams. Top 21 running
What?
back. Just wait till week 3, okay? DeAndre Swift is going to be out for the season.
All right.
He's not even starting week 1, DeAndre Swift. He's going to play week 2, get hurt week 3.
Okay. Mark it down.
Mark it down.
Luke, are you writing that?
And
Good.
then you just wait till Ezekiel Elliott gets hurt. Tony Pollard is going to be an absolute steal.
So you're planning on a bunch of starters getting hurt.
Yeah, well, and I have Ronald Jones, who's in one of the best Tampa Bay offenses
Okay.
that there is. So
There you go.